It might be a little bit breezy in the south of England today, but nothing was going to stop me from coming out and flying this XFLY F-35 64mm EDF jet. Does look nice, doesn't it? So this is, as I said, it's got a 64mm EDF fan in it. In terms of the LiPo, you can use a 6L 3300 to 5200, they say. So it takes quite a big LiPo, and I'm using a 5000. You put it in the battery bay, and it's probably about 1.5 inches back to get the center of gravity. The CG marks are underneath to balance it. They're about here on the wing, and it balances quite nicely with that. This is really easy to put together. I would say no glue required. Literally just bolts together in about 15 minutes. They weren't lying, that's what it says in the instructions. I did it in about 10 probably. I'm using my Radiomaster TX16S together with a Radiomaster ER8 ELRS receiver for guidance for this. If you want to know how to put one of these together, it's very quick. I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so after you've unboxed the components from the box, you will have these on the table, and you'll see that a lot of the work has been done for you. The rudders are already connected up to their servos. The ailerons are already connected up to their servos as well. The motor and the speed controller and the fan are already installed. You've got a nice pilot in the cockpit. So this is not going to take long at all. So starting with the wings, we insert the carbon tube into the fuselage, then slide the wing halves onto that carbon tube, and before you push those tight onto the fuselage, you need to connect up the servo extension to the servo lead from the wing. Then flip the model upside down carefully, and you'll see that there are 2 holes on either side of the wings that you need to drop the bolts into, and then tighten those up, but not too tight so as you don't break the plastic fittings. Next are the elevons. So take each elevon and slide it onto its steel rod, observing on the steel rod where the flat is. That's important. And when you've slid the elevon on, you'll see where you drop the bolt through and tighten it up. You do need to make sure that it does actually grip onto the flat on the rod. Check that by gently trying to pull the elevon off the rod away from the fuselage after you've tightened up that bolt. Then fit the push rod, inserting the Z bend into the servo arm and snapping the ball link onto the elevon, making sure that the servo is at 90 degrees and that the linkage is the right length to snap onto the ball link on the elevon, so that the elevon is in the neutral position. Push the nose onto the front of the fuselage. This is held on by a magnet, so there's no need to glue this in place. And that's basic assembly done that quick. So literally 10 minutes, if that, to put it together, because no glue, just bolted together. So then I dropped in my Radiomaster ER8 ELRS receiver, connected that up to the labelled cables from the servos and the retracts, and ready to go. You can see here as well where I dropped in my 6S 5000 pack for balance. The CG is marked underneath the forward edge of the wings, really quite forward up front. Should balance quite nicely with anything between a 4000 and a 5000 pack. So with that done, I'm going to get this in the air, and to be honest, jets are the best thing I think to fly on windy days like this. They really do cut through the wind and the turbulence and the gusts that you might get, and make what would otherwise be a no fly day into a really pleasant day to go flying. So let's get it in the air. Okay, here we go, taxiing out. Okay, lined up, full throttle. Ah. And that was actually the last of several attempts trying to take off on that 64mm EDF. Whether it be the grass being a little bit longer and bumpy, it just wasn't going to get in the air. So I changed over to a 70mm EDF. So note how I was using full elevator for the last part of that takeoff run, just to try and get the nose wheel up in the air, and with that positive angle of attack it did actually take off and climb away. While flying it, I did work out that it is quite sensitive in roll. I needed the full elevator throw to get in the air. Combine that with 30% expo, so while I'm flying it, it's not as sensitive around the center of the stick, but less rates needed on the ailerons, definitely, because it does roll quite easily and too fast with full throw, so be wary of that. Okay, so gear going down. It does take a few seconds for them to deploy, so be wary of that. Do a gear pass, make sure all three are down before you go for your landing approach. Now watch as I turn on to final, how I use the elevator to keep the nose in the up position, high alpha almost, while balancing on the power. And it really does come in relatively nice and slow to land on the mains. It's just a bit of a shame that Nick zoomed out at this point too, and you can't see the actual landing too clearly, but it does just come in so nicely. So there you go. I think the secret was there to hold in the full elevator, and then as the nose picked up, to release the elevator. Take off, but it did get in the air, and as soon as it got in the air it was absolutely fine. Downwind passes super fast and really nice and stable on the upwind passes, and it really did cut through the air in the turns. No aerobatics on this first flight, but we'll do that on later flights. So there you go, that's the 70mm 6S conversion on the XFLY F-35. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Nick on camera. Be back soon on Essential RC. Bye.